predictable? Or do you just aimlessly rotate the right stick and expect magic to happen? Well, whichever one you are, there's no denying that skill moves have become more than just a show-off and are truly a vital part in aiding one's attacking play. But how did it get to be that way? Well, you're about to find out because this is skill moves from FIFA 94 to 20. The first FIFA ever, officially called FIFA International Soccer, commonly referred to as FIFA 94, didn't have any skill moves, but you could intentionally push opposing players down for a foul, so there's that. The next game in the series, now officially called FIFA 95, was pretty much the same game but with brighter colors, so the skill move situation was unchanged. But it was moving to a then new generation of consoles with FIFA 96 that we saw the first proper skill moves be added to the game. You could still push players, so no worries there, but we also saw the first two skill moves in the franchise, the step over fake and the rainbow flick. FIFA 97 expanded on the new engine across multiple gameplay aspects, but skill moves wasn't one of them. In fact, all we were left with for that year was the rainbow flick. But enter FIFA 98 Road to the World Cup, the first game to have a multitude of skill moves, from improving the old ones like the rainbow flick to adding basic moves like the stepovers and reverse stepovers, the first introduction of the roulette in FIFA. You also had the lane change, ball hop, you could fake shot for the first time ever, you also had a Rabona / Hocus Pocus move, and also for the first time ever, you could actually dive manually in the game. It was revolutionary for skill moves and EA saw that. So the next iteration of the game, FIFA 99, kept that same direction. You now also had a feints button which in combination with the directional movements triggered different skills. The game also kept the successfully added moves from the stepovers, lane change, roulette, ball hop, Rabona / Hocus Pocus move, rainbow flick, even the dive, and they also added a very neat looking new move in the flick over. FIFA 2000 marks the end of the PlayStation 1 era and EA were working on improving concepts for the future. The newly added ball shielding system meant sacrificing the controls for several skill moves, so all that was left was the ball hop, lane change, roulette, and the flick over. FIFA 2001 was the first game of the PlayStation 2 era. In a new game engine, EA kept it conservative in what skill moves to add, and to their credit, the few ones that we did have looked very clean. There was the ball hurdle, the ball roll, roulette, and a much improved rainbow flick. It also marked the first time we'd see backheel passes more frequent in gameplay. EA were testing and developing many core gameplay aspects in FIFA 2002, and skill moves were obviously not a priority. We did see the return of the fake shot now performed the way it's done today. We also saw the classic stepovers and reverse stepovers, the ball roll, and a new move altogether in the flick up with a very good looking animation. Unlike the year before, in FIFA 2003, skill moves were very much a priority as EA were looking to change the entire concept of how they are performed, now with the right stick being designated as skill move control. This would undoubtedly pave the way for the future, but for that year it just didn't work. Skills were very difficult to pull off and their controls were a lot of the times unresponsive, which was a shame because the moves in the game did look pretty good. You could dummy between the legs, you could body feint, there were stepovers, roulettes, and also for the first time ever some of the moves were tied to specific top players. So top players like Ronaldinho could pull off this heel to heel move, dummy drag back, and Henry had his own feint and drag move. FIFA 2004 improved the responsiveness of the new right stick controls, which was definitely a step in the right direction, but other than that it was a pretty lousy year for skill moves because there were just barely any. We had the body feint, stepovers,
here we are, here's the chance,
and the roulette.
shot,
But FIFA 2005 would look to make up for what its predecessor was lacking, going down in many people's hearts as one of the best FIFAs in history in many aspects, and skill moves was one of its many strengths. There was the ball roll,
why not have a man on the line there?
you had two variations of the ball lift, you of course had the stepovers, roulettes, and it also marked the return of the rainbow flick with the new animation and slightly difficult controls that made it feel rewarding when you pulled it off. FIFA 2006 felt like a transitional game where it was trying something new with the gameplay, and despite being mostly the same as the year before, it somehow felt different and a bit off. However, when it came to skill moves, it got it pretty right. The staple moves in the game looked good. They also experimented with the new feint moves, including a kick feint, a double touch move. They also added a button for close control dribbling for the first time. Some moves were player tied, like Cristiano Ronaldo having his own way of doing stepovers. Ronaldinho's Elastico also saw its debut in the franchise, and for the first time ever they implemented something to combat people who spammed the right stick, which meant that for the first time ever you could actually fail a skill move. As it was approaching PlayStation 2's retirement, FIFA 07 was the end of an era game, and it went out with an absolute bang. Many people rating this as their favorite game of the entire generation of consoles. This game just worked, and it was a ton of fun to play. For skill moves, it looked to hold on to the basic ones like the ball roll, step over, roulette, double touch, fake shot, lane change. It also kept the close control dribbling mechanic. You could now freely flick the ball while it's in the air. It didn't fail to include the fan favorite rainbow flick. And also, the player-specific moves were better than ever, with Ronaldinho's Elastico, Robinho's stepovers, Cristiano Ronaldo's heel chop, Blanco's ball hop. You could also, with some practice and timing, pull off a very good looking Rabona. FIFA 08 was the first game of the PlayStation 3 and Xbox 360 era, and it's where skill moves were starting to go down the familiar path they are on today. For the new generation of consoles, EA made sure to include a responsive, organized, and fun skill move system. There was a step over and reverse step over, body feint, ball roll, fake shot, drag back, roulette, fake and exit, heel to heel, rainbow flick, Ronaldo chop, scoop turn, hocus pocus, sombrero flick, and you could now juggle the ball, which introduced a new system with juggling skill moves where you could do the around the world and the in-air elastico. FIFA 09 looked to expand on the new successful skill move system, adding instant fan favorites like the Rabona fake and the Magidi spin. They also added the triple elastico, the Waka Waka, Ronaldo Fenomeno, new fancy flick in the ball scoop. You could now also freely exit with the drag back in all directions, not just backwards. And they also added two new moves in the juggling system with the juggling sombrero flick and the most difficult move to date, the chest flick. They continued to add new moves in FIFA 10, where we saw introduced the drag back fake, the ball roll fake, and the ball roll chop. We also had the run around or the bridge, a new first time flick, and juggling continued to also get its own attention with a new laces flick to start juggling and the Tuzani around the world. FIFA 11 introduced the variation of the heel to heel, the fancy drag back, the all too familiar Berba spin, the ball roll cut, the double touch exit, quick ball rolls, and it allowed you to perform the Ronaldo chop in several new directions with new controls. FIFA 12 also looked to not just add but also improve, changing the way the scoop turn is performed and allowing you to scoop turn to 90 degrees or 180. It also added the Elastico chop move and made it so you can manually trigger fancy passes and also easily perform a Rabona. They also looked to expand the juggling skill moves by adding the juggling rainbow and the reverse toe bounce. In FIFA 13, they updated the old Ronaldo Fenomeno to look like the way Neymar performed it in real life, which led to some people redubbing the move as the Neymar Hocus Pocus. They added a reverse elastico, which also had a variation for doing it while juggling. We had a new very powerful running scoop turn, a standing dummy fake shot, and a fake shot stop. They also introduced the face-up dribbling mechanic. There were several fancy flicks added with the new Ronaldo back heel sweep for shooting, the Henry pass, and the Hocus Pocus pass. FIFA 14 saw a change to how running and speed in general works, which gave us a new running fake shot animation. New moves were the double touch spin, reverse double touch exit, foot feints, and a new drag back fancy pass. It was also in this game where the body feint was extremely powerful to use and abuse. FIFA 15 was the first release of the PlayStation 4 and Xbox One generation of consoles. With a new game engine and clean graphics, skill moves looked better than ever. New moves added were a new variation of the Elastico move and the Elastico chop, which also saw the introduction of the spin move, and with it the spin fancy pass and the scoop turn pass. In FIFA 16, they added the Lionel Messi inspired no-touch dribbling mechanic and a few new skill moves. There was the Bolasi flick, the heel flick turn, the fake pass, and a proper Rabona shot. FIFA 17 only saw 3 new skills being added, with the Neymar step over, V-drag move, and the Okocha sombrero flick. In FIFA 18, they added a new skill move that wasn't new at all, with the bridge. Despite it being in the game for 8 years prior, they had adjusted the animation and made it more efficient to use. Other genuinely new moves were the 1-foot spin, the Cruyff turn, a running variation of the Okocha flick added the year before. You could also now flick the ball forward while it's in the air and continue to juggle it that way. There was also a hidden move called the El Tornado, which only a few specific players could do and wasn't tied to skill moves at all. FIFA 19 sought to immediately change that, with the El Tornado now being free to use for any 5-star skill player. But that wasn't the end of the player-specific moves, as we saw the introduction of Neymar's own variation of the Rainbow Flick. Older moves got a makeover, like the step overs animation was greatly improved and the Waka Waka was now easy to be performed while running. Other improvements on already existing mechanics was with the first touch skill moves. Instead of only being able to dummy between the legs, you now also had the first touch fake and the first touch spin. New moves were the open up fake shot, 3-touch roulette, ball roll sombrero. The ball flicking system got a complete overhaul, with them making pressing the right stick the universal flick button, which gave us a new flick up and a knee juggling. The running flick up was also changed with this, as well as adding a new scooping flick up. We also saw the first touch boomerang trap, the heel sombrero flick, and there was a new variation of juggling the ball forward with the soul trap. A new skill move, Andres Iniesta's La Croqueta, was so powerful that it led to them changing the core system in itself in the year to come. So in FIFA 20, before even looking at the many new skill moves added, the most dramatic change was the chain skill move nerf, where to avoid people spamming moves like the aforementioned La Croqueta, the new system added an error to skills done in a row for more than 2 consecutive moves. This was a hard pill to swallow for some, but an understandable step in terms of game balancing. For the actual new moves added, it was a pretty big year. New skills were the setup touch, flare roulette, drag back sombrero, lateral heel to heel, heel chop turn, drag to drag, and although not a new skill move, the feint and exit got a complete makeover, looking better and being more effective. FIFA 20 also marked the year where EA finally completely removed the no-touch dribbling from the game and added a new mechanic of strafe dribbling, which is undoubtedly a better system. As far as the new skills are concerned, it's the year of the fancy flicks, with so many of them being added and older ones being improved, like the Scorpion Pass and Scorpion Chip. New ones having a move available for any type of position, player speed and direction. They looked really good and added an extra flair to crosses and chips. I hope you enjoyed this FIFA history lesson. What do you think and what do you hope is the future of skill moves in the game? In the meantime, I've been Shade, thank you for watching, goodbye.